This video is about your Qtr4 Clavius assignment, which is to find a research paper and do an analysis. In terms of your analysis, what you're going to want to do is, first of all, look at the assignment posted to the iTunes U Clavius page. It has all the information necessary here to find basically all the data that I'm posting here is posted there. Students will randomly be assigned to one of 3 meetings with their mentor. So your meeting time is not changing, but you will be assigned to one of the 3 meeting dates in the next 3 weeks to present the research paper. Go to iTunes U to look for your date. The good news is that you are doing this together with your partner for the final exam. Now, that partner is possibly, but most likely not, assigned to your same mentor or time. So you will find the research paper together, you will analyze it together, and each of you will describe it separately in your own mentor meeting. So what do we mean by an analysis of a research paper? Well, first of all, what is the type of research paper that you should be looking for? So what we want to do is we're going to take a look first of all at this, which is the analysis description. You're going to analyze one research paper. You have criteria for that selection are that you want to make sure it involves samples or a sample, an inference procedure about a population or populations. You do not want to do something that is about, that is a rather extremely complicated project or research paper, but you might need to, depending on what you can find. It must also mention the variable of interest that is being measured, and it must include some graphical display of data. The article in question or the research paper must contain some conclusion or answer a question, which would be considered your alternative hypothesis. For example, is there an association between grades and the amount of sleep a student gets each night? Is there an association between the color of car and the number of traffic tickets they receive? Or does lack of sleep affect performance? And I'm specifically thinking about athletic performance. I did some quick searches and was able to find articles, but it does take some patience and some effort. Ideally, the topic that you choose for your research paper should be related to the final exam project, because remember, in your final exam project, you have to cite prior research. Okay, so the next issue is, how do you find the paper? So, you can use several different sources. One of them would be the scholar.google.com, because you are looking for scholarly research papers. JSTOR, there's a link on the Go Ramblers page, and I'll show you more about that in a moment. ProQuest. If not successful, you could also see Mrs. Metzler in the library, and she will give you some direction. But there are also some other sources which are listed on the next page, such as Nature, Scientific America, which we have on our library website. So you're going to want to make use of one of these in order to find your article. It will take some effort, so please be patient. So what do we mean by analyze the paper? So the first thing is you should present the paper making sure you've covered, and there's not 4 points, but all the points below. There's several points that you need to consider. Be prepared to speak for 5 to 10 minutes about the paper. You don't need to put this in a paragraph or paper form. You can use your notes on the article to present the article to your teammates. They must be brief and yet comprehensive enough for you to know the facts. So what are those facts? So first and foremost, what you need to do is, and all of this that I'm blowing up here, you will be able to see in your in the data that's presented on iTunes U. So first of all, you have to state what is the problem or question being answered. You need to also make sure that you can see what the source of the data is. When I say source of the data, give a brief overview of how the data is acquired. Is it a sample? Is it an experiment? Is the data categorical or quantitative? What inference procedure do you think is being used? Now, they may be somewhat complex, so this might be a challenge to determine exactly the inference procedure, but you can make some hypothesis on this based on whether they're using counts or means as to what they might be using. Do they display, do they check conditions? Are we able to see that conditions are met? Are there graphs included that might allow you to see if conditions are met? And do they refer to the graphs? Finally, and I would say most importantly from the standpoint of inference, do they link their conclusion to the p-value? If the p-value is less than a certain amount, do they reject the null hypothesis or do they make a conclusion? Then we go on to a few finer details. Do you find any sources of bias in their sampling methodology or problems in their experiment? Do they mention any? Do they cite problems? Usually a research paper will do that. Do you agree with the inference procedure that was used? Maybe they used counts and did a mean of the counts rather than doing proportions. So sometimes, again, the inference procedures are more complicated. If so, that is fine. Just see if you can determine if a decision was made based on a p-value. Now, listed here are possible ways for you to find a scholarly article. Now, the first thing I'm going to talk about is actually the scholar.google.com. Don't use just Google. You want to use scholar.google.com and do some type of search. You may or may not find things that you're looking for. The library has a resource which you can use, and I'm just going to blow this up so we can look at it. So if you go to academics and across to library, from academics, you hit academics and go down and select library, what's going to happen is you will link to the following, and this will be under the resources page. And if you notice, right here is library databases. That's where you want to go. So you're going to click on that. When you click on that, you're going to have the option of a few different pieces. So if you go under magazines and newspapers, ProQuest is one of the options. So there are this includes news and magazine articles. It also includes some things that are such as research articles. And typically you're going to want to look at peer-reviewed articles. ProQuest also has historical newspapers, and JSTOR might be the scholarly academic place to find research. So each of these, namely ProQuest and JSTOR, you could use. Now, let's just kind of look at what ProQuest search looks like. You're going to want to use an advanced search under ProQuest. Now, when you look at this, in the top line you might type, say you're looking at cognition and sleep. And so in the top line you might say cognition, and down below you would put sleep, and you would cite, is there anything anywhere? Or you could do it in the abstract, and then you would do a search. You could do full text, peer-reviewed, or scholarly journals. I would prefer that you're looking at peer-reviewed and scholarly journals. Now, if you notice, this is for subject and specific. Now, there are English and history, but there are also issues and controversies in American history. But more importantly, there are these four possible sources: Nature, Scientific American, Scientific American Mind, as well as the SIRS, which is Social Issues Researcher. So those are all possible sources. Last but not least, if you are struggling and have spent a significant amount of time looking for this, you might want to see if Miss Metzler in the library would be able to help you. I have spoken with her about this. She understands what we are looking for. As a last step, I need you to complete, each of you must complete the Google form by clicking on the link below. So this is for each individual. Even your partner has to do it and you have to do it, because I need to know that everybody has seen this video. It includes links about what is your subject, who is your mentor and what meeting do you attend, and what is your proposed research topic. It must be a research topic that has been approved. Now you will need to go to the link that is shown here, but if you are not able to, you must log into your Loyola email to do that. If you are not able to get to this link, I also will post the link on the Clavius iTunes U page. So that completes everything about the survey. You will need to have this completed by the Friday. I'd like to have you redo this survey by Friday of this week, which is Friday 4/8. Thank you very much and have a great day.